Hello and welcome to the latest Crafty Simulations video. In today's episode, I'll be taking the famous flyer number 8, the Cessna T207A Turbo Stationair, yes it's a mouthful, while taking it on a flight from Burning Blue Designs Little Gransden over to Imperial War Museum Duxford. Hello and welcome to the latest Crafty Simulations video. I know it's been a few weeks, well, it feels like it's been ages for me. I like to put out 2 videos every, I think it's 8 days, I think it's due to my work contract, and I did miss out last week. Now that's because I took a holiday away from work and I decided to obviously cut away a bit of the flight simulation as well. Still using the flight sim on my spare time, so it is one of my best ways of killing some time, but I'm back and we're doing another video. Now I did create a live video a few days ago of me flying my favoritist, bestest twin engine general aviation aircraft, that being the Cowes DA42, and I flew it from our home base for the DA42 of Humberside Airport and flew it over to here, Little Gransden, and it's a bit of a step back in time. But we are now going to fly a different aircraft from Little Gransden over to Imperial War Museum Duxford, and hopefully, if I get my navigation right, I will be flying over another piece of scenery as well. Now, Little Gransden here is actually developed and designed by one of my bestest flight simulator companies I've ever met, and it is Burning Blue Designs. You may know I have featured quite a few of their pieces of scenery before, and I have done a tour video of this amazing piece of scenery. So if you want to see a little bit more about this particular piece of scenery, I think I've got a group of videos, scenery tours I think it's called. Pop onto there, it'll be one of the latest ones, and I will show you more about this amazing piece of scenery. But today we are going to be flying out of here, and we're going to be flying in an aircraft I have featured before, once again. And I featured once before when I reviewed it, and it is part of the famous Flyer series. Now this was a series of aircraft that Microsoft and Asobo have been created, and it's aviation greats, famous aviation classics, and number 8 was the Cessna T207A Turbo Stationair. And the reason why I was quite excited about this aircraft when I first knew it was coming out, again, general aviation, so I do like general aviation aircraft, but it is also developed by Carenado. And I have done a few videos on Carenado aircraft, so I was very excited for this aircraft. And I still am. It's still a really good aircraft. A few limitations in the fact of it is not strictly a full Carenado release. It is released through Asobo and Microsoft, so it does make it, there's a few takeaways from the original Carenado aircraft, but I'll probably cover those in the video of the review. But hopefully you'll get a rough idea of what this aircraft is like. So if you know what Carenado aircraft are like, you'll know this aircraft is going to be pretty darn good. It's a little tricky on takeoff, as you'll probably see. I'll probably go on and talk about that when I get the engine up and running. So today's flight, like I say, from Little Gransden over to Imperial War Museum, Imperial War Museum Duxford. Try saying that 10 times fast. Duxford is somewhere over there. We're not a million miles away from Duxford. It's not far, but there's another piece of scenery I want to fly over, and it's another piece of scenery by Burning Blue Designs, and that's Falmere. I'm hoping I'm saying that correct, but Falmere Airfield. Now, there's a difference between Falmere and the scenery of which you see before you. Burning Blue Designs, 99% of their scenery is payware scenery. Great prices. I'll say right now, I think it's one of the best scenery developers here on both sims, because they do sceneries for 2024 as well, and they mostly cater towards general aviation VFR styles, so that's why it kind of fits in with my channel. But Falmere is a free piece of scenery, so if you're interested in just taking a look at how good, and trust me they are good, BBD are, go onto their website and check out the Falmere scenery, completely free. It It's still free now. It's been out for a while now, but it is a basic scenery because there isn't really that much at Falmey, unfortunately. But there's still the grass runways. There's still a hangar. You've got general aviation aircraft around there. You've got people, you know, the AI style of people. It's very good, and it will give you a rough idea just how good BBD really are. So before I start dribbling on about all these things about Burning Blue designs, that's been about 5 minutes. So I will join you again when I am ready to get this aircraft started up. So, welcome to the cockpit of the Stationair. Typical Carenado awesomeness. I will try not to review this aircraft. Like I said, I have reviewed it in the previous video. I'll take a look at that video, see if it was actually covered all the main things. I know it was one of my early videos, so I may come back to it and do like a re-review of the aircraft. But I'll say now, if anyone's interested in this aircraft, and thinking that it'll be exactly the same as every other Carenado aircraft, you will notice this would be the pouch where the tablet would be. This aircraft does not come with a tablet, so unlike every other Carenado aircraft, which does come with a tablet and therefore has options for GTN 750s and all sorts of other goodness, this one doesn't unfortunately have them. What it has is my arch enemy. We have the GNS 530. Oh, I hate this thing with a passion. But it's fully functional, it works absolutely awesome as any other 530 is. And I've said before on the channel, it's not my favouriteest GPS in the world, but I am going to unfortunately have to use it on this particular trip. So, but anyway, this is Carenado, so it is a fairly simple aircraft to get going. So we'll have full mixture, right, so not that, but battery. 10 out off for the minute, we'll have beacon light and nav light. Alternator is on, prop pitch is forward, mixture is full, fuel tanks are automatically set to the left tank. Brakes are set. Let's put that back on before I forget it. So we are clear on the left, clear on the right. Might want to switch this over to both. And we'll have a clip up. The great thing about Carenado aircraft, they're so simple to start. So I'll pull the mixture back, just for a bit of realism. Right, so avionics will now come on for the hideous GNS 530. So lights are on, just running through in my mind. I probably should have had the fuel pump on for a bit of realism, but again, it's Carenado. Don't really have to pay too much attention to the realism. So we shall stop this from moving, camera, turn off Trackir, and we shall set up the autopilot. 1700 feet will be fine for the flight. It's not far away to Duxford. Now, I remember the early days of Flight Simulator 2020, and this particular page, the status for the searching for the satellites, or as Del Boy will call it, the satellites, it didn't take very long. It wasn't very realistic, apparently, so they have changed that now, so the searching portion of this page takes forever while it's looking out for some satellites. I could sit here with a coffee. Oh, we're getting a stat light. Right, well, I've never had that one before. How did the avionics get turning off on this aircraft? Very weird. I didn't think this aircraft had battery drain that well modelled. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. So anyway, so we'll be acquiring the old stat lights again. Hopefully we can get off the ground. Let's get the cockpit set up. Right, so anyway, yes, this aircraft has a rather unique quirk. High-powered takeoffs result in a yaw effect, specifically at a certain speed, usually around takeoff, which is highly annoying. That can cause slight issues, especially on short runways, of which we're on at the moment. So, let's get this all set up. I never like doing this. Right, EGS, you, Duxford. Oh yes, let's knock that off. So that'll give us our route today. Like I say, it's a very short route. We want to be heading to here. Here is Falmere, the freeware scenery. Let's turn Trackir back on again. Also, this aircraft is quite squat on its main undercarriage, so it does sit upright. Taxi lights. Oh yeah, need to set that up again. $7,000 being VFR general aviation for us in the UK. I believe in the US it's 1,200. Right, so we're ready to go. Taxi lights are on. Let's have that back on before I forget about it, and let's go. Before we have any other issues. Like I say, really beautiful piece of scenery here at Little Gransden. So we've got a little bit of a hill to drop down before we get to the runway. Take it off a runway 10, left-hand departure. So while we're here, actually, we shall have landing lights on, taxi lights are off, strobe lights are on, pitot heat is on, fuel pump is on, squawking at altitude 1700 for the autopilot, which we will be using. Fuel tank is on left, which there isn't really much difference between the two of them. So yes, this aircraft does have a rather little quirky yaw movement. It's not so bad on concrete runways or tarmac runways that are plenty long enough, but we may notice it today. Parking brake is set, mixture is set, prop pitch is full forward, landing lights are on, strobe lights are on, pitot heat is on, auxiliary fuel pump is on, battery electrics are on, autopilot is set, navigation is set, transponder squawking 7,000 on altitude, flaps down to one stage on the fullest tank. So let's go. Airspeed's alive. There's 40. There's 60. Slight bit of a left-hand yaw. Knots flaps on. Good sideways views out of all Cessna aircraft with high wings. passing 1100 feet. Pilot hold. VS nose up. Heading hold. And now select a navigation hold. Landing lights for, fuel pump is off, mixture coming back. So we're looking about 110 on the climb as we head to 17, which will be not far off. Leveling out for 17. So, like I've said, I've covered many Carinado aircraft before on the channel, and they're direct Carinado aircraft, so from Carinado themselves. And when this aircraft was touted for being released, I was very interested in it being that it's Carinado. I know there's quite a few people that have a downer on Carinado. They say that they're not realistic, they're not sound-wise, they're not very good, you know, how they handle in the sky is not very realistic. And I would say they're not obviously the best in flight simulator avionics and flight simulator aerodynamics, all that kind of stuff. You know, you're looking at A2A or Just Flight for their style of aircraft for that kind of level. But for the price point, I think they're very, very good. And this is, even though it's not a direct Carinado aircraft, like I said before, it doesn't have the EFB or tablet down there in the usual location for Carinado aircraft. And, you know, I mean, it does restrict you to the options that you can have. You only have to have the GNS 530. I mean, I'm not knocking the 530, okay? I grew up with Flight Simulator 2000 and Flight Sim 2000, I think it was. And they only had the 530. So I've seen this graphics and, you know, this avionics thing for literally ever. And it serves its purpose. I mean, we're quite happily setting a route. It's a direct to route, and it works just fine. But I would like the GTN 750s, which obviously the Carinado aircraft come with. But other than that, it is a very, very good aircraft. Good sound as well. I will say though, when the aircraft is idling on the ground, there is a clicking of static from the recording of the sound, which occasionally comes through. At the moment, it's very, very good. Even the external sounds are very good. Right, so, like I said, this is not a very far flight, so we've just got Echo Golf. I've forgotten my phonetic alphabet. Anyway, we've got Falmir on the GPS. It's coming up now, so I'm going to come off autopilot. Autopilot disengage. I have control. And we'll make a little bit of a right turn and a descent. And like I said, this is a freeware piece of BBD's scenery. It's the only freeware they do. And if you are interested in purchasing some BBD scenery, I would highly recommend it. You know, if you're into the general aviation style of the market, BBD have definitely got a lot of scenery to offer. Looks like we've got some mist coming in. So BBD's hangar here for Falmere, just on the left hand side. Like I say, it's a very simple piece of scenery, this one. It's only got a few buildings, not to the level of the Payware one, obviously, but it gives you a rough idea of how good BBD is at developing their scenery. So I'll just trim this aircraft out a bit. So there we have the hangar at Falmere. We've got the parked up aircraft, got a few buildings behind the hangar, and you do have a main runway here. So we've got a long taxiway and a main runway just at the end of the taxiway, would you believe? So like I say, that is completely free. Available on BBD's scenery, on their website I should say. Duxford's coming up on our left hand side. Falmere and Duxford not a million miles away from each other. I think Falmere was a satellite base during the war for Duxford. Now this piece of scenery, also freeware, available on flightsim.to, the Duxford one. I believe there's quite a few different versions on there, but I do believe now the original creator has created an complete version, which I'll put a link to. I think there's two styles. There is the non-air show and air show scenery. So the non-air show won't have the crowd, which means there's going to be people watching me land this aircraft, as I do have the air show scenery for Duxford. There we go, got the Land Warfare Museum just passing under the wing. The American Super Hangar, I think they call it, was the next one. That rather odd looking building. Then we've got all the hangars, airliners sat outside, and then we have the British hangar at the end. So it's now time to concentrate because I need to land. So we shall have landing lights on, fuel pump is coming on, landing on, yeah, we'll still land on the left tank. Because this aircraft is designed as a more rural agricultural Cessna, I will land it on the grass, because there is a grass runway along with a tarmac runway. So landing lights are on, auxiliary fuel pump is on, flaps down one stage, landing on fullest tank. Second stage. You can just make out the runway. The grass one, that is. I can see the tarmac one. Quite a good landing for me. Alright, strobe lights are off, landing lights off, taxi lights are on, pitot heat is off, fuel pump is off, flaps have retracted. So this scenery was created in FS 2004 and FSX, I do believe. I can't remember even the company that came up with it. I think it was Airfield Construction Group, if I remember correctly, but has been updated for 2020 and 2024. A stylish little parking skill as well. Right, so fuel tank off. Taxi lights are off. Beacon lights are off. Navigation lights are off. Magnetos are off. Battery and alternator are off. Avionics. The button for that is off. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Imperial War Museum Duxford. I will be doing another video, straight after this one really. Will be released in about 4 days time, but I am going to do a little tour video in a helicopter. I know we do tour videos in the little buggy, but I thought I'd give it a go with a helicopter to give myself some extra things to talk about as I try and fly a helicopter, which I haven't done for ages. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments about Stationair, please feel free. I do think this is a rather good aircraft. It's a rather quirky little, well, I say little Cessna. It's quite a large Cessna because it has this stretched out fuselage, so we do have an extra row of seats compared to the average Cessna. And it is a very, very good aircraft. I think it retails something like £11 now. It is part of the famous Flyer series, and I believe you get 3 different versions. The people carrying one, the cargo carrying one, and if you're a lunatic and want to jump out the side of it with a parachute strapped to your back version of this aircraft, because that's what it's for. So yeah, and many repaints as well. And also there was plenty more repaints on flightsim.to. So yes, if you've got any questions or comments about this aircraft, please bang them below. I would be more than happy to talk about them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay safe, and I will see you in a future Microsoft Flight Simulator video very, very soon.